So far, President Trump has been pretty quiet on Twitter today, but that was not the case yesterday morning when he once again took on the Justice Department. And I talked to CNN politics reporter and editor-at-large Chris Cillizza about that. I asked him if there's a strategy behind the president's attack against Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
Sometimes I wish I knew. I'm caught forever on it between thinking Donald Trump is playing three-dimensional chess and thinking he's playing zero-dimensional chess, right? Either it's a grand strategy that I'm not smart enough to see, or there isn't as much strategy as we tend to associate with it. I think he is very frustrated by the fact that there is a special counsel at all, period. He did not think that it warranted it.
Rosenstein, of course, appointed the special counsel.
And Rosenstein was the person who appointed it. Now, the reason that's the case is because Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, who would normally do that, recused himself because he had had conversations he didn't disclose with the Russian ambassador, Sergei Kislyak. So this fell to Rod Rosenstein. It's not as though he seized it, but Donald Trump tends to look for someone to blame who is not him or his immediate family when things start to go south. So that sometimes is Steve Bannon. It's sometimes Reince Priebus. It can be any one of a number of people, Jim Comey. But in this situation, it appears to be Rod Rosenstein, who Donald Trump feels as though, you told me to get rid of Comey. I get rid of Comey, and now I have to deal with this investigation. The point is, though, Rod Rosenstein is not leading this investigation. He's the boss of Bob Mueller, who is the special counsel who he appointed, but he's not leading it. Bob Mueller is leading it. Rosenstein is sort of not really involved in any way other than the fact that he is ultimately Bob Mueller's boss.
Now, Rosenstein put out an interesting statement as well. It had to do with anonymous sources, saying, don't believe media stories that cite anonymous sources. We, of course, have heard the president say something similar before. Was it surprising for you to hear this from Rosenstein? What do you think this is all about?
Yes, in a word, it was surprising. It also came out on a sort of an odd time, a Thursday night, where it wasn't clear that Rosenstein was responding to any one thing. The Washington Post had reported a few things, including that Donald Trump was under investigation for obstruction of justice, but that had been 30 hours beforehand. What it is about, I believe, without knowing, let me say this is an educated guess, is that Rod Rosenstein is in a very difficult position. He wants to keep his job as Deputy Attorney General. At the same time, he knows that Trump is not happy with him for doing something I think Rosenstein felt was absolutely necessary in appointing the special counsel after Jim Comey's firing. So what does he do? He puts out a statement essentially saying what Donald Trump says, which is anonymous sources, fake news, don't believe any of it.
So that would
does it help
obviously
him
ring the bell that Trump wants to hear.
I think you always have to remember with administration officials, whether it's Sean Spicer or whether it's Steve Bannon or whether in this case it's Rod Rosenstein, they basically have an audience of one, Anna, and that one is Donald Trump. So we can talk about how it was odd and strangely phrased and why did Rod Rosenstein do it. But if Donald Trump likes that Rod Rosenstein did it, see, he's standing up against fake news, that's really Rod Rosenstein's goal has been met.